So, as we were discussing last time, it is important to constantly remember that life is short. Life is short. We cannot do everything that is there to be done, and also it is not necessary to do everything. So therefore it is important to make the right choices. Love is nothing but choices. So make good choice. Having obtained this precious human life with the capacity to judge, to analyze, use this human faculty of discrimination, analysis and judge. And adopt and practice those things, which is very, very important, essential in one's life. The other things, even if you can't do, no problem. Many things you don't need to do. So life is full of choices. So whether you want to choose happiness or suffering is also up to you. It's up to you. Whether you want to cultivate the positive emotions or destructive emotions, there also the choice is yours. Whether you want to take care of yourself or not to take care of yourself, that's also your choice. So it is important really to choose the right thing. Given the human mental potential, given the rare opportunity in life, it's important to make the right choice. Because if we cannot afford to make wrong choices and waste our life, we cannot afford to do. At least according to Buddhism, it is said that you cannot take it for granted that you will be born again as a human being. As you sow, so shall you reap. What will be your next life? Unless you make right choice right now, we cannot take it for granted that next life also I will be born as a human being. At least that is the Buddhist perspective. Buddhism believes in many lives to come. And if you want to see what kind of life you are going to get in the next, immediate next life, then it's interesting to pay attention to this Tibetan stanza or saying which says, if you want to know what you have done in the past life, look at your body. Look at your present body. When you look at your present body, it's a human body with this wonderful psychophysical aggregate, wonderful intelligence. So it's quite clear that you did really good thing in your past life. You are not a dog or a cow or an insect or many other helpless animals. You are not born in any of this. You are intelligent human being. So that means your past life, your past reincarnation did a good job. Now then it says, if you want to know what will be your future life or where are you going to go, then it says, watch the state of your present mind of this life. When you study and watch the state of your present life, then if you find that so many good things are coming, you are practicing love, practicing compassion, practicing wisdom, and so many good things, you are not harming others, then you don't have to worry. Of course, you can always make improvement, but you can be quite sure that you will have a good rebirth. Contrarily, If your main concern is negative self-cherishing attitude, and what you practice and cultivate is all the destructive negative emotions, then what will be your future life? You don't need to do a divination. Your future life will be a horrible one. Maybe bird, maybe animal, maybe insect, everything is possible. So therefore many teachers, they say that be careful. Be careful, very soon you may be dead and you will be born animal with a horn on your head. Of course, most of us will not believe in things, we believe only in the present life. It's difficult for us to believe the continuity of the life and things like that. But I'll give you an example. Like for example, in the day, if you fight with somebody, you shout and fight and kick and hit and very, very angry, then as a result of that fight, that anger, it is very likely that you will get nightmare tonight. In the day, if you had developed this very strong negative destructive emotion like anger, it's very likely that you will repeat the same thing in your dream when you are sleeping. So similarly, what you do in this life will have this effect in the coming future lives. So you can't escape experiencing the result of what you have done. The imprint or habit that is left, positive or negative, depending upon that, you will encounter the result. You will experience the result. You cannot escape it. You cannot cheat anybody. You cultivate a strong destructive emotion and harm somebody, and then you think that you will not have to experience the consequences. If the police had not caught you, if you think like that, that is wrong. A habit is formed, imprint is left. So it's only a matter of time that you will have to experience the fruit. Maybe tomorrow, maybe after a few months, maybe after a few years, or maybe in the next life. So it is said the law of causality is infallible. We cannot cheat them, deceive them. That's the law of karma. So that's one level of thinking. Or another simpler level of thinking is we all know based on our own experience that if you develop positive emotions, you do get happier, or you do get more pleasant experiences. Others also enjoy your company, your friendship, you see. That we all know. So therefore it is important to clearly understand that all these teachings, they focus on primarily one thing, how to reduce and, if possible, remove the destructive negative emotions. If we do that, then we are good Buddhist, good practitioner. And even if you don't want to call yourself as a Buddhist, but still if you do this practice of reducing your negative emotions like anger, jealousy and so on, you are a good human being. You will experience peace and happiness in this life and future lives also. Contrarily, if all you do is just focusing on one's own personal gain and happiness and completely ignoring the needs and well-beings of others, whether you call yourself a Buddhist or not a Buddhist, you will have to experience the negative consequences. In the same text, I think, or maybe in Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara, he gives an example. He says that look at the relationship between the employer and the employee. The employee who doesn't do the work properly, the employer who doesn't give the salary properly, both cheating each other, both will be unhappy. Both will encounter problems, you see. So therefore, everything that we see in this world, be it a tree, be it a human being, be it a flower, be it an animal, whatever it is, these things flourish when the needed causes and conditions are in harmony. They fall and decay and vanish if the necessary causes and conditions are not in harmony. So therefore, harmony of your own elements, harmony with other people, harmony with the environment. This is exactly in accordance with the law of nature. Conflict is against law of nature. Killing is against law of nature. Destruction is against law of nature. Harmony, even in the case of growth of a tree or a plant, when the moisture, the warmth, and the seed and everything is in harmony, then it grows, it flowers, it blossoms. When it's not harmony, or one of the important ingredients is lacking, it will fall, it will decay. So therefore, all these teachings that is given by Buddha is for peace, for happiness, for harmony. And therefore, understanding the importance of what is being taught here is very crucial, because most of us, despite wanting happiness, we do not know how to cultivate happiness, how to deal with these destructive emotions. So therefore, knowledge is freedom, knowledge is liberation. So knowledge is very, very important in that sense. You cannot simply become good by thinking, okay, from tomorrow I'll become good. No. You need knowledge, especially the in-depth knowledge of the sources of suffering and in-depth knowledge of the counter forces that would eliminate the destructive emotions and the sufferings which are the offshoot of these negative emotions. So knowledge is power in that sense. Okay? So that's why we should consider ourselves lucky to be able to sacrifice some time to come here and sit together. I call it a sacrifice, you see, because mostly people, they have so many other things to do which they think is more important than sitting here like this, you see. So we are making some sacrifices, and we will all get benefit by studying such texts. Not because I'm a good teacher, but just simply sitting together and reading such precious text is a very, very, very important project in one's life. Because at the end of the day, when everything else fails, then the only thing that will protect you, help you, support you, sustain you, continue the friendship is the inner qualities, inner spiritual qualities, positive way of thinking. These inner spiritual qualities, the positive way of thinking, they will at the end of the day will prove to be the most important teacher, most important friend, most important guide. The other teacher, the human teacher, may be very good, it's a great source of inspiration, but they cannot be with you all the time. In times of happiness, in times of difficulty, in times of turbulence, you can't expect all your teachers surrounding you wherever you go. Similarly, your friends, relatives, they may be wonderful, they may be very compassionate and very loving, but you can't expect them accompanying you everywhere you go. Similarly, all other external material facilities, you may get some benefit from them, but you can't expect to have all these material facilities wherever you go. But one thing that will go with you, not only in this life, but for many lives, is your mind. So provided if you give proper training to the mind, form the positive habit, and get rid of the die-hard negative habits, then happiness will be there, peace will be there, tranquility will be there. So therefore, these Buddhist teachings are targeted towards transforming your mind, regulating your emotions. Because it is this mind, it is this human emotions which are at the end of the day is your master. So therefore it is important to elect or choose a good master, which means positive emotions. Okay? So we were last time reading verse number, which one? 17. We finished 17. Discrimination is a mental attitude shrouded by the darkness of desire and hatred. So discrimination means seeing oneself separate from others. It's not just, of course, seeing oneself separate from others is a right conception, but thinking almost unrelated, you know. It is them, I don't care. It is me, I have to take care. So that kind of conception of almost unrelatedness of oneself with others, that kind of thinking, that kind of discrimination comes because of attachment, because of hatred, because of ignorance. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you will find that, physically we are different, but if you look at the core nature, not only of the mind, but even of the body, you will find there's so much similarity and sameness. Okay? So that's why he says discrimination is a mental attitude shrouded by the darkness of desire and hatred. Okay? Not subjecting anything to mental consideration is explained as indifferent of attitude. That not subjecting anything to mental consideration. I not necessarily agree with the translation, but it is basically saying that these negative emotions like attachment, hatred, ignorance, since they are the dividing forces, so therefore, if you don't analyze, if you maintain non-mental engagement, actually that's the meaning, non-mental engagement. That means if you don't think about the destructiveness of these negative emotions and remain indifferent or insensitive, then that is called having no view, or here he has used the term indifference of attitude, but it basically means having no view. Having no view means you have no understanding of the destructiveness of these negative emotions. If you mentally don't engage and analyze the destructiveness of these negative emotions, you will have no idea how destructive they are. You see? It's only when you look at them, study them, what did you experience when you develop hatred, when you develop anger and so forth, then you will experience, oh, these are very destructive. So therefore what is being said here, this is the 25th of the mental factors as explained. This is called having no view. Having no view here means not analyzing the destructiveness of these negative emotions. The 26th mental factor is degeneration. It's called degeneration of respect. Laziness over agreeable activities results in loss of respect. That means there are many favorable practices, agreeable activities. Even the Tibetan root text itself is quite difficult and there is not much explanation. But basically it is saying agreeable activity means favorable activities, activities that you should do, religious activities. So these religious activities are called agreeable activities, and these activities must be done, but you don't do it because of laziness. So that is called losing or degeneration of respect. That means you lose respect to the favorable religious practices. It's very clear. You don't do those things where you have no delight, no interest, no respect. You see? If you have respect, if you are able to see clearly the many benefits of spiritual practice, then you will like it, you will respect it. So therefore in the Tibetan tradition we say, oh, if you are a practitioner, then even if it is just a letter na, don't trample on it. Even if it is a small red cloth, you should imagine this is the cloth of a monk, so you respect it, put it in a clean place, So you show respect, anything that represents the teaching. But if you are overpowered by laziness, then the respect to the teachings will decline. Okay, so that is number 26. 27 is called bad person. Bad person. Inappropriate consideration to the superior and the blessed one makes one an immoral person. This one also, translation I'm not so sure, but what it is basically saying, the superior, the text itself says inappropriate consideration to the Lama. In other words, to your Lama, to your teacher, you should make effort so that you are able to properly relate to your Lama, just like you would relate to the Buddha, the one who has destroyed all the negative emotions and one who has cultivated all the positive qualities. So if you don't make that effort in relating to the Lama or the teacher properly, then you are counted as a bad person. Okay? I hope my explanation is correct. Because unfortunately, for this Guru text, only 2 commentaries are found. If you look the whole Kanjur and Tenjur, the existing commentary, only 2 texts. One by Jasab Dharma Rinchen, and another is Tibetan scholar Mepam Shenye. So, especially in this chapter, especially the beginning parts, there is hardly any explanation. So I was trying to read both the commentary, and things are not absolutely clear. Okay. "28th is craving. He uses the word clinging. Clinging is a minor, ever-binding fetter. So it's basically saying when clinging is ever-binding fetter, means clinging is a minor entanglement. Many of these negative emotions, they are called entanglement, because once you develop this negative emotions, especially attachment, clinging, grasping, they entangle you. They confuse you. You get caught with that net-like entanglement. So therefore here he talks about a kind of clinging, which is an entanglement, but smaller type of entanglement. Clinging is a minor, smaller type of ever-binding or entanglement fetter, and arising from desire and attachment in the realm of desire. So basically he's saying that this kind of smaller kind of entanglement or clinging arises from desire. Desire here primarily means desire to the sensual objects. Desire to the sensual objects. Although he has used the word the realm of desire, I'm not so sure about that, but it's basically talking about desire towards the objects of desire, which means the 5 sensual objects. The object that we see, that we hear, that we smell, that we taste, that we touch, the sensual objects. People in general, and especially in today's world, we are completely stuck in the sensual objects. And what we are doing in our life, regular life, is, that's the problem. What we are really doing is we are looking for pleasures, not for real happiness. Pleasures that you derive from sensual objects. something beautiful and handsome to see, gives pleasure to the eye. Something tasty to taste, pleasure to the tongue. Something pleasant to touch, something nice to hear, something good to smell. And I always give this example: when you visit a big mall, that big mall is a perfect example of the sensual objects. With a little exaggeration, or maybe not exaggeration, if you visit a big mall, you will find exactly that. One level, probably the ground level, scents. They sell scents of all types, fragrance of all types. You go there and waste a lot of money there. And that is there because people are demanding scents, fragrant smells. There's a lot of scope for doing business. One floor. Go to the next floor, it may be cloth for touch. Waste a lot of money there. Go to the next floor, televisions, that means things to see, form. Go to the next floor, CDs, DVDs, songs to hear. Go to the next floor, restaurant, Japanese food, Korean food, American food, Tibetan food, for tasting. Perfect example, these big malls. Because I read this in Abhidharma, one commentary, then later on I visited the mall, I said, perfect example. You see? Today in this consumeristic society, looks like everything is for sale. And people are trying to feed their senses. They don't care about the mind. The mind is starving. Nobody is giving them any food. Only senses, sensual objects, which is primarily outside. Which is primarily outside. What is important for you is not going too much outside, but coming in, coming home. Coming home. Most of the time we are not in the home. It's locked. You have no idea what kind of emotions are there. That's why I'm using the word emotional transformation regulation. You have no idea about your emotions. That's why we have to study these destructive emotions, positive emotions, and in order to transform and regulate these emotions, you need to know. But you have no time to know these emotions, inner states of mind, because you are so busy with this, dealing with the sensual objects. You are always out. Your room is locked. It's getting dusty. Cobwebs are hanging all around. So that's why we have all these problems. It's a symptom that the house is collapsing because the owner never took care of the house. So therefore, Buddhist practice also means coming home. You'll find that real peace, real tranquility, real development, all is possible by coming home and understanding the amazing power of the mind. Okay? Then next is intense clinging. Intense clinging. While intense clinging is a major entanglement or ever-binding fetter that is also caused by desire. So this also, it's a greater form of desire that arises with reference to the 5 sensual objects. Number 30, verse number of course 20, but out of the 57 or so mental factors, this is number 30. Desire is a mind infused with the desire and attachment that is attached to one's own possession. So here is talking about one kind of attachment, which is attachment towards the things that you possess. Okay? When you go in your own home, you might have collected so many things, and you may have a lot of fondness or attachment to the things that you possess. And you always worry that somebody might break my cup, somebody might dirty my, jacket. Clearly showing that this worry about your possession is a result of your attachment. So attachment here means not only you have these things, but you have this wish to continuously keep them, own them. And in many cases, we are unable to use it. We buy something, and then we have so much attachment to it, that then you start thinking, okay, I should not wear this today. This is so good. I'll keep it and wear it later, maybe during New Year, or maybe marriage ceremony, or on another big occasion. So in this way, you just keep it in your cupboard or in your box. And what you actually wear is very ordinary clothes. Then I've seen some of my Tibetan families, including some of my relatives. Some of them have brought this kuchin chua, the Tibetan dress made of brocade or silk. They wear it only during the New Year, then put it back in the box. So when you do this, then gradually you find that even if you don't use it, it has a time, date of expiry. Human beings also have a date of expiry. We have not written it because it's difficult to find out, but we have a date of expiry. Things that we possess have a date of expiry. So it's always better that don't buy too many things, and whatever you have, you use it. And don't buy expensive jewelry, expensive clothes, which normally you can't use it, No point is keeping somewhere, you see. Instead of those things, you just keep, money or something in the bank. It's easier, I tell you my story. It's a little bit shameful story. As a monk, my friends or my sister particularly, she always gives me shoes. So of course I cannot give it like that, I also have attachment. So I keep it, I'll wear it next time, or maybe give it to one of my relatives, things like that. And then of course you also get busy, you can't expect you're always looking after the shoes, so you forget also. So then sometimes I said, why I'm keeping this for so long, I should give it, you see. So I took out these shoes, which really looked nice, it's very good shoes. Wanted to give it to somebody, but when I took it out, the sole came out like that. Nobody had used it, it's a very good brand shoes, But it has been lying with me, I don't know how long. So that's the thing, you see, really no use. So make sure you are going to use it, otherwise start giving. It's easier, it will make your life simpler, easier. At least this part I have started doing, in a small way, of course. I can't give up everything, because I'm mentally not ready. When you're mentally not ready, you get excited for one day, give up everything, then you will suffer. Nobody is going to give you see. There's a story at the time of Milarepa. So he really, really admired Milarepa, and he said, I must follow him. Because Milarepa was living like a beggar. So he decided, I will also live like him. So he gave away everything. It's easy to give away, but his mind was not ready. And he didn't have intelligence to find out what he should give as a minimal requirement. So he gave up everything. So it didn't last few days, After a few days he started suffering, then he said, Then he started saying bad things against Milarepa. He said, Milarepa, not only he lived like a beggar, he also made me a beggar. You see? So you don't have to take such kind of stupid, drastic measures. But there are many things you can easily give. You see? So start doing that. Because at the end of the day, when you die, you have to, whether you like it or not, you have to give everything. So why don't we give something right now when we have the capacity? Because I'm 100% sure there are so many things you have stored over the last many years which you thought you're going to use it, but you have never used it, and I'm pretty sure, based on my own personal experience, that you're not going to use it. So better you clean it up, give it to others. And interestingly, there are so many people who don't have many of these things which you have. For you it may be nothing, but for many other people it's a luxury. What you thought as not so important is a luxury for many other people. And I have that experience also. For people who don't have money, even when you give 10 rupees, 20 rupees, they're just beaming out, so happy. So many things you can do. And then the next one is inappropriate covetousness or inappropriate attachment. Improper attachment. I would use the word improper attachment. Improper attachment means attachment or clinging towards the possessions of others. Of course, attachment to your own possession is improper, but development of attachment to others' possession is even more improper. So therefore this is called improper attachment. So that basically means covetousness. Out of the 10 non-religious practices, there is one which is called covetousness, aspiring to get what others possess, which is also a very bad negative emotion. Then the 32nd is irreligious attachment. Irreligious attachment. Here he has translated, insatiable desire is extreme craving that lacks the joy of contentment. Sorry. So we read this, inappropriate covetousness is to yearn for other people's possessions, okay? And then the next is irreligious attachment. That means unchaste desire for inappropriate person is to lewdly praise women one must avoid. That means this probably especially addressed to the monks, okay? In general, attachment to anybody, man, women, possession, anybody, attachment is not good. Especially in the case of the monks or nuns who are celibates. So in the case of monks, having excessive attachment or even attachment to women is not good. So therefore he is saying that unchaste desire for inappropriate person is to lewdly praise women. When you praise women, the motivation is to get something from the women. The praise is done out of attachment to the women. So he's saying this is not appropriate. Unchaste desire or irreligious lust for inappropriate person is to lewdly praise women, that one must avoid. The next one is called hypocrisy. Now here hypocrisy, although we already read hypocrisy when we were studying this 5 wrong livelihood, but here hypocrisy basically means, it refers to those people who basically desire to do bad things, who basically desire to do negative, destructive acts, and therefore they don't really have positive qualities. But still, because of their wish to do something bad, they pretend that they are not bad. They pretend that they have good qualities. So that's called hypocrisy. Many people do that, including some politicians. What they desire is not really to help people, something else. But during the election, All the election campaigners, they say that I'll bring heaven on the earth, Just give me a chance. Just give me a chance. I'll solve all your problems. Everywhere, it's India or America, everywhere, the politicians say this. Not necessarily they will do this. So there's hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is to feign good qualities, though one craves for evil and lacks such qualities. Clear. Then the 34th mental factor is great desire. Insatiable desire is extreme craving that lacks the joy of contentment. Now, contentment means pleasing the sublime beings. Pleasing the sublime being means that when you get contented and have very few desire, less desire, that will naturally make the great people happy. The great teachers happy. Oh, this person is very contented person, he is very nice person, So sometimes contentment has been explained as something that would please the great beings. And therefore, this kind of contentment is really a glory. It's a glory. But if you have great desire, then you go beyond that glorious contentment. You transgress that glorious contentment. The real meaning of being rich is have contentment. If you are contented, you are rich. If you are not contented, even if the whole world belongs to you, you are poor. You are mentally starving. You want more, you see. So you will never become rich in the true sense of the term. Ambition of power tempts one to brag over one's qualities in all ways possible. That means when you have this desire to get something, when you have this ambition for power, and then you keep on declaring that I'm somebody special, I have all these wonderful qualities. You see, this is again quite similar to what I explained earlier in the case of hypocrisy. So you aim, your aim is to let other people know how perfect you are, how good you are. Whereas actually what you want is that you want the power. You want to get something. Next is intolerance. 36 is intolerance. Intolerance is an ability to forbear when harmed or overcome by suffering. That means when you are harmed by somebody, when you are experiencing suffering, then at that time, if you are unable to tolerate this, then that's of course called intolerance. As is explained in Shantideva's Bodhisattva, practice of patience is extremely important. If you in life, if you don't have patience, some kind of forbearance, you are not going to achieve any success. And Shantideva gives the example, look at the people, the fishermen and the farmers. The fisherman, just to catch few fishes, he has to sit there whole day in the hot sun with his head and, the instrument to catch the fish. And if he becomes impatient, he will not be able to catch fish. Similarly, the farmers, whether it's raining or whether it's very hot, they have to work. If they don't do, they are not going to get anything. So therefore, it is important to have tolerance. Tolerance. Next is irreverence or impropriety. Impropriety is an act of disrespect towards the deeds of preceptors and teachers. That means developing disrespect to teachers or lamas who are good teachers, good preceptors. Okay? If you show respect to somebody who is not improper, then probably okay. So that's why in the Buddhist teaching also, when you look for your spiritual teacher, you should be very careful. Examine your teacher very carefully. Okay, normally it says that when it comes to finding your teacher, don't just jump to a teacher, just like a dog seeing a lump of meat. When a dog sees a lump of meat, he has no time to taste. He'll just jump and eat it. When you make a connection with your teacher, spiritual teacher, especially root teacher, root guru, it should not be like that. Okay? So therefore, just by listening to somebody, that teacher doesn't become your teacher. Okay? You listen to that person as a good lecture. And if you benefited from that lecture, of course you can always say, it was a good teaching, I really benefited, thank you. Even somebody gives you lunch, you say thank you. So, of course you have to say thank you, you should be grateful. But you don't have to tie your neck to that person, that I have to do whatever he say, you know. Many people are misguided these days. They find a teacher and then the teacher, unfortunately, maybe not so qualified in many cases, maybe not so nice. Then they tell funny things, you know, and then later on they get problem. But we always have to use our common sense in Buddhist practice or whatever we are doing. And people say, oh, my teacher told me I have to do this. It's stupid. Even if your teacher told you, for example, if your teacher tells you to jump from the 9th floor and commit suicide, will you do that? Your teacher told you to do that. But you will not do that because you know you are going to die. So there you use your common sense. So similarly, when the teacher says something, and it didn't really sound nice or improper or proper, then you should, if possible, ask the teacher politely, not fighting. Okay? So you should, whether it is practicing the Dharma or it is relating a teacher, whatever you are doing, use your common sense as much as possible. And if it is something that you don't understand right now, then I'm not so sure. Just like the scientist. The good thing with the scientist is, if it is something within their scope of judgment, then they will say, okay, I have analyzed it, I have checked it, I have observed it, so this is what we found. If it is something that is beyond their instrument or their laboratory or whatever, like future life. If you ask a scientist, do you believe in future life? He will never say there is no future life. He will simply say, I have no idea. I'm not so sure right now. I have no idea. This is not my field of experiment. So similarly, when something is not clear, you should say, I'm not so sure about that. Okay? So that's important. So you should not get the understanding that when somebody who is called a teacher is there, then you have to listen to everything that person says. That person can make mistake. Irreverence is an act of disrespect towards the deeds of preceptors and teachers. Disregard for speech and counsels is to disrespect speeches that accord with Dharma. You don't need any explanation, this one. Obsession towards kith and kin is to love and be attached to one's kith and kin. Kith and kin means relatives. Because you have special love towards your relatives and friends. And that love is not pure love. It is alloyed with attachment. So therefore you need to know that the kind of love that you have to your relatives, your friends, your wife, is not unalloyed love. It is mixed with attachment. As I told you yesterday, the ordinary love, ordinary love is a kind of business love. You love me, then I love you. That's called business love. The real love, as is taught in Buddhism, is unconditional love. Whether you love me or not, I love you. Not because you are my relative, not because you are something to me, but because just like me, you want happiness, do not want suffering. I take care of myself not because I'm special, but because I want happiness, do not want suffering. So similarly, as much as possible, I want to love you, I want to take care of you, because you are also like me, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. Okay. So that's why he calls this obsession towards kith and kin. And that's not, in the long run, it's not good. So even towards your relatives and friends, try to develop unconditional love, pure love. Okay? Because when you develop this ordinary alloyed love, then you become blind. Then you get stuck there. Then you get obsessed with that. But if you maintain a little bit distance, just like an experienced old grandfather, because he has that life's experience, he would not express too much emotion, like hugging the kids, things like that. But from a distance, he will really take care of the people, because he has seen the life. So similarly, love, as one of the English saying goes, love is not how many times you touch each other, but how many times you reach each other. That means how many times you mentally reach each other. It's not so much physically touching each other. And if you develop the pure, unconditional love, then again one of the English saying goes that if it is pure love, then it is something that the blind can see and the deaf can hear. The genuine, unconditional love. People can experience it. Okay? Likewise, obsession to, just as you have developed obsession or strong attachment to your relatives, similarly, you may develop such obsession to objects, to one's place. Likewise, obsession to one's place is to laud its qualities for a purpose. Like Tibetans will talk highly about Tibet, Singaporeans will talk highly about Singapore, Bhutanese will talk highly about Bhutan. Huh? And much of the praise that we shower upon our country is not necessarily the country is very special. The reason is because you belong to that country. So wherever I am, that place has to be good, And now interesting, every country says, oh, we are very strict about the visa. Don't come to my country unless you bring a lot of money. We don't want like stupid people in my country. My country is so special. Donald Trump is saying that right now. I'll build the wall, build that Mexican wall, and things like that, you see. I mean, of course, everybody has the right to do the best for one's own people, one's own country, but from a bigger perspective, we also need to see when you develop that strong obsession, attachment to your place, to your country, again it will become a dividing force, not a uniting force. So likewise, obsession to one's place is to laud its qualities for a purpose. Recklessness in the face of death is to have no fear for death at all. So number 41 is conception of immortality. It's called conception of immortality. So that means you develop this conception where you don't think about your death. So you become kind of reckless. But when we are healthy, when we are okay, then we don't even want to talk about death. Okay? But it's better that right from the beginning you understand the approaching death. Kini kichik samshik dewara mebar chija chida shinje tungde pangsil ji juwe sumbo seran chiwe lamchen la chedu nyechen sunsa tiwe nangsu de jowa. I think from the fifth Dalai Lama or something, I don't remember. Anyway, it says right from the birth, right from the first moment of the birth, you do not have freedom to stay and halt even for a moment. You start running then, right from the birth. Running where? Running to the feet of the Lord of the death. Birth itself is the cause for death. It's not the case that you are born, birth is something good, and then later on a separate cause should be cultivated for death. No, birth itself is the cause for death. That's why it was probably Buddha only who said birth is suffering, when the rest of us talk about happy birthday. Right? Right? So I'm not trying to turn the clock back. Please celebrate your happy birthday. But at the same time, remember that from a deeper perspective, that birth itself is the cause for death. So we are just running day and night. We're on the national highway that goes and ends at the feet of the Lord of the death. And the death, when will it come? Unsure. One thing that is sure is death. Death is sure. But when will the death come? Not sure. So that means it can be tomorrow. This is the reality. I'm not trying to frighten you. So if it is tomorrow, if it is tonight, are you prepared? That's the question. Like we worry about our own flight. If we are going to London, from my flight is tomorrow, you need to check again and again whether the ticket is confirmed, whether you have enough money and things like that, you see. But about this travel, journey to the death, the unknown land, is amazing. It's really amazing. We don't care at all. When we fly from here to London or somewhere, we may have friends who will support us, who will come to receive us at the airport. Otherwise also you are going from one human society to another human society. You will manage. But when you go from this life to the next life, the unknown land, where you know nobody, where your MasterCards are of no value, there's no machine established so far in the unknown land. So how are you going to manage? So therefore the Buddhist teaching says the only way that you can manage is if you have cultivated these spiritual qualities, like love, compassion, wisdom and so forth, then these spiritual qualities will be your light in the darkness of your travel to the future world. So again, from that perspective, you can see the importance of development of these qualities. So therefore, the first teaching that the Buddha gave us on death, one of the last teaching that he gave us on death and impermanence. Because if you don't really think about impermanence, especially death, you will not make a move. We can have nice time talking about bodhicitta, talking about like emptiness and talking about all kinds of compassion and patience and 6 perfections, 4 ways of collecting the disciples and 100,000 other things, the 5 paths and 10 spiritual grounds and so many things. It's nice pastime. It's really nice pastime in a way, but you will not make a real move. I mean, when you talk about this meaning of concentration, out of the 6 perfections, the number 5th is concentration. And when people are asked, what do you mean by concentration? Concentration means to choose one object and let your mind stay one point really on that object. Everybody gives that explanation. It's fine. But the real meaning is, you are in the samsara, therefore concentrate. You are going to die very soon. Death is approaching, therefore concentrate. Like for example, if suddenly my head catches fire, and some of you see it, of course I will immediately feel it, but if somebody sees it, sees in Geshe, your head is on fire. I will not say that, okay, wait, I will douse the fire after I finish the teaching, you see. I will immediately douse it. I will immediately concentrate how to put off that fire. I will not say, wait. Similarly, if you have seen the destructiveness of the negative emotion, destructiveness of the suffering and so forth, then you will concentrate. But the rest of the concentration that we are talking about is again another pastime. You will not really be able to concentrate. When you see the danger, when you see the risk, then you concentrate. So concentrate basically means, that's the meaning. But most of us don't talk about these things. We talk about choose one object and let your mind stay there. There was a teacher by the name Udrak. It is said that his one-pointed concentration is so strong that he could remain in that meditative state for days and months. It's a very interesting story. He just gets so absorbed with his one-pointed concentration, he could stay there months on end. And he spent so much time remaining in that one-pointed meditation that his hairs grew and fell on the ground. And his cave was infested with mouse. So some of the rats, they came and chopped the end of his hairs, but still he was oblivious. But later on, when he got up from the meditation and found that the ends of his hairs had been chopped by the rats, he got very, very angry. So that is concentration, you see. So concentration, being able to concentrate on one object is important, but the real reason that you should concentrate is the fear of suffering, the fear of negative emotions, the fear of death. If you have these things, therefore this impermanence is the greatest teacher. Death is really the mover and shaker. We talk about how many of us talk about death? We talk about nirvana, enlightenment, God, Buddha, heaven, the pleasant things, Oh, if you become Buddha, then you know everything, you have removed all the sufferings and things like that. And we don't want to talk about death. We don't want to talk about death. Even when you build the cemetery is built outside the town, so that not many people see it. When somebody dies in your house, you don't want to have your children see the dead body. Say, okay, go away. You immediately close the door. And even in the cemetery, you put nice flowers, You don't want to show the actual thing. It's only in places like monasteries in Thailand where the dead bodies are kept in the monastery itself. And dead bodies of different types. One day, dead body of 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. And then finally many days, and then the skeleton and things like that. So monks go there, every day they go there and meditate to inspire themselves, to see the reality. But the rest of us, we just, all I want is live, and don't want to die. That's the problem, you see. There's a very interesting story here, but we have no time. Next time. Okay? Seems that's why, yeah? Narcissism is to expect others to look upon you as possessing great qualities and thereby pay great respect. To expect others to look upon you as possessing great qualities and thereby pay great respect. So this is number 42, which is proclaiming one's qualities. That means that you expect that subsequently people will know your qualities, and subsequently they will take you as their teacher, as their lama. So with that motivation, you announce and declare your qualities. There are people who do this. That if you tell somebody, oh Geshe, you look very spiritually very advanced, it looks like you have clairvoyance, then you might say, not always, but sometimes. Or something like that, You give some hint that you possess special qualities which other people don't have. The purpose of making that announcement is that so that gradually people will become your followers, right? Attraction of others is a feeling spurred by fascination for others. That's, I think, quite clear. That means having attachment to men, women, and so forth. And then this next two lines, I don't at all agree with this translation, because this is counted as a separate mental factor. First one is attraction for others. Second one is to be affected by harmful intention. Next one is called to be affected by harmful intention. So with harmful intention, to be affected by harmful intention means there is you basically think about developing a harmful intention, and then you analyze whether what you do to others is beneficial or not beneficial. Your purpose of doing that analysis is to harm others. So that's one mental factor. Next is displeasure is an irresolute state of mind. Irresolute state of mind means this is 45th mental factor, which is called instability of mind. Displeasure is an irresolute state of mind, means instability of mind. When your mind is not at ease, when there is displeasure, now look at this, when there is displeasure, then your mind becomes unstable. Like, for example, when you develop anger, jealousy, and so forth, then there's no stability. So therefore, try to remain pleased with the situation and things. Jealousy arises through attachment. Jealousy basically means wanting to get something which you don't have, which others have. So jealousy arises through attachment, and it is a mind which, when is unable to get what others enjoying, then your mind becomes turbid. Your mind becomes dirty, just like water becoming dirty. So that turbidity comes out of desire. So therefore, jealousy also is related to desire. 47th mental factor is indolence or indifference. Indolence or indifference here means a state of your body where you don't make any effort. So that basically means laziness of lassitude. That means you are not attentive to the things that you should be doing. Out of laziness, you are not attentive. You don't pay attention, you don't make effort. As one of the Buddhist teachings says, one who has one laziness will not have any quality. That means, laziness, as we always discuss, there are so many types of laziness. Laziness means laziness, as we always understand, that means doing nothing. Laziness also means not doing the important religious practice and doing something which is insignificant. Having attachment to an inferior thing and postpone doing the more important spiritual practice, that is also laziness. And laziness also because of low self-esteem. This is important to be done, but I can't do. Because of low self-esteem, you don't do it. That's also laziness. Then also laziness of postponement. When it's something that's important to do, you don't do it, you postpone it. That is also laziness. So there are so many types of lazinesses. Indetermination is to change through delusion one's actions of body and speech. Indetermination is to change through delusion one's actions of body, speech, and mind. Indetermination is to change through delusion one's actions of body, speech, and mind. So that means the changes that takes place is out of afflictive emotions. The changes that is taking place is out of, actually this one is counted as change. Number 48 is called change. Change means change through the power of afflictive emotions. So change means out of afflictive emotions, your physical expression changes. Even what you say, your mouth also changes. Like for example, you're angry, then you, whatever, physically or facially you change. So change due to afflictive emotions. Distaste of food is an unwell state of body caused by excessive eating. So this number 49 is called not desiring food. So not desiring food means having no joy in eating the food. And this is possible because of your excessive eating. So in the case of taking food also, it is advised not to eat too much or not to eat too little. So excessive eating is counted as one factor for death. And less eating is also counted as one factor for death. If you eat less, you will have no power left to do anything. If you eat too much, you will have difficulty breathing. Okay, when we like some food, we eat too much, then later on we get this difficulty of even breathing. So this is called suffering of change. Okay, we stop here, maybe too much.